So, hello everyone, and welcome to EFL Championship Matchday 3 review. I'm host Sam Wright, and today I'm joined by Sunderland fan Josh Bunting. And Josh, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. Another season is upon us. A very entertaining weekend of football all around the divisions, really, and the Championship was no exception. And we're going to start with the Friday night game, actually, between two former Premier League clubs from last season. Watford versus Burnley. The final score was 1-0 to the Hornets. Tom Cleverley's goals right on the stroke of half-time, enough for them to get the winner. An entertaining game, though, Josh, it's got to be said, but Watford, though, 7 points out of 9. A good start to life for Rob Edwards at Vicarage Road.
Yeah, really good start. And like you said, 7 points. They've had 3 pretty difficult games as well. We've had West Brom, Burnley, Sheffield United in those 3 games, and they're 3 teams that I think will be up there at the end of the season. So to get 7 points out of those games it's an excellent return. I've been impressed by Rob Edwards, actually. I've been impressed with, I didn't think Watford were great against West Brom. I think that's the only exception, but they still managed to get a point out of the game. Could have got all 3 points. Saar has a penalty saved, really poor penalty. But on Friday, I thought they were good. I thought they controlled it for 70 minutes, and then Burnley did come into it, and obviously red card for a red card. That let Burnley in it for the last little while. But I thought Hamza Chowdhury was excellent. And I'm not a huge fan of Hamza Chowdhury. That's just, everybody has sort of their own conception of how they like footballers. Hamza Chowdhury would really be one of my favourite type of players, but I thought he was excellent on Friday. And I thought Watford were good. João Pedro's been immense this season. Just his runs, so intelligent into the channels. So yeah, I thought Watford were, could arguably thought Burnley were worth a point, but for Watford to dig in for the last 20 minutes or so, I thought Daniel Bachmann was outstanding. I think he has been outstanding this season already. 13 saves. So I think Watford in a good place right now, and I think if you're a Burnley fan and you're watching that game, I don't think you're that concerned because they created enough chances. They came against a goalkeeper had a really good game. So yeah, I thought a draw was probably fair, but fair play to Watford. They dug deep and you got 3 points.
Yeah, so moving into Saturday's games now, we started at the Cardiff City Stadium then. It was Cardiff City 1, Birmingham City 0. And Birmingham coming into the season were a lot of people's favourites to go down along with Reading, really. And I think that, they've started the season quite well, 4 points out of 6. But on Saturday, in the Saturday afternoon kickoff against Cardiff, we started to see Birmingham's flaws, really. Maybe a lack of squad depth or maybe just a really poor performance. But fair play to Cardiff. They won both of their home games now so far this season. And one of them, of course, was against Norwich. So they've started the season well at home, albeit they had that very disappointing loss to Reading. But Cardiff, who were full value for this one, really. Very well worked goal by them as well. And yeah, Cardiff get all 3 points and 6 points out of 9. I think Steve Morrison will be quite happy with that to start the season.
Yeah, without question. I think he'll be delighted with that start of the season. I think, they've shown resilience at home to 2-1-0 wins. But I want to touch on Birmingham. Like you said before, many people's favourites to go down. I think they've been really good. I like John. So there's something about John Eustace that I like. I think he's a good coach. I think we're seeing that at Birmingham. On Saturday, yeah, like you said, maybe it was a lack of squad depth. Their intensity lacked a little bit, but I think it's an excuse, but I think a big problem with the weekend was the weather as well. Really hot conditions, so it's hard to play football in it as well. And I think this weekend it would be hard to say, a lack of intensity because it's obviously really tough to play in that weather. But I think Cardiff will have a good season. I really do. I think they improved quite a lot over the summer. And I see people, on Twitter saying, they haven't really. I think they have. I think Watford will have a reasonable season. I think they'll finish top half. To be honest, I think they've got lovely little technical players. So yeah, it was a good win for Cardiff, and 6 points from the first 2 home games. It seems that they're going to be very hard to beat at the Cardiff City Stadium this season.
Yeah, and next up, we're going to move on to your team, Josh. Sunderland, a thrilling game, really. Well, thrilling ending to the game anyway with QPR. But Sunderland, though, I've got to imagine as a Sunderland fan, you're very disappointed to not win this game because you were 2-0 up, cruising, playing really well. And then in the end, though, just 2 goals to give away. And one of them, of course, the goalkeeper's even scoring a header, which is a very much a rarity in football. The goalkeeper came forward and the cross came in, a very good header. But then Sunderland had that chance to win it at the end and it came back off the crossbar. A very entertaining game, but as a Sunderland fan, it's got to be disappointing. It's got to feel like 2 points dropped.
It does and it doesn't. You know, if we look at Sunderland this season, 5 points from the first 3 games, I could never have expected that. To be honest with you, I think that is a is a very very good return from what I was expecting. You know, I thought we'd struggle, to be honest, at the start of the season. I still think we're very much a League One team. To be honest, if you look at the players, it's an okay squad, but I think it's a top end League One bottom half Championship squad. Um, yeah, look, if at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning against a pretty good QPR side, if I was offered a point, I would have said, yeah, I'd probably take that. But in the circumstances, yeah, it was gotten. It felt like a defeat, to be honest. 2-0 up until the last 5 minutes, and then QPR obviously come back, and especially when City Diang, a goalkeeper, equalises against you. Um, it is what it is, but yeah, look, I think it's been like Ellis Sims with another goal, Ross Stewart with another goal. So we're scoring goals. We're looking really good going forward. I think the problem with Sunderland this year will be defensively. I'm pretty. It's the only concern I sort of have. We will concede goals, and then especially with the news this evening, just before we came on, that Daniel Ballard broken foot, so he's going to be out for 8 weeks. That's a big loss. I think Daniel Ballard's the best defender at the club by a long, long way. So yeah, that's obviously disappointing, but fair play to QPR. They showed great character and mentality to come back in the game, to stay in the game. I actually think it was their experience that got them back into the game. And that's what I mean about Sunderland sort of being that League One team still a little bit. I think it's going to take a while really to get going in the Championship in terms of the mentality. I think, Sunderland 2-0 up, switch off. And you can't switch off in the Championship. It's an unforgiving league, and you'll get punished. But the performance was very good. It was encouraging. And if we play like that, yeah, we'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm going to speak about another entertaining game now, another brilliant comeback, this time from Millwall at the Den against Coventry City. Coventry obviously didn't play last week against Rotherham due to the game being called off with their bad pitch at the Ricoh Arena. Coventry, they've started this game really, really well. 2-0 up quite early in the game. It looked like it was going to be a really good result, really, at Millwall. But fair play to Millwall. They came back into the game, and in the end, they got the 3-2 win, albeit Coventry did have a man sent off at 2-2, I believe. It's a very good result for Millwall. And it's the feeling around Millwall this season is they're going to have to make the Den a fortress if they are to compete for the playoffs, which people are kind of expecting. And albeit they were 2-0 down in this one, that's exactly, they got the 3 points in the end, and could be a very important 3 points further down the line.
Yeah, look, the Den is going to be a fortress. I think it's as simple as that. One of the hardest places in England to go. Just the pure atmosphere at it, and it's intimidating for teams to go there. But I think Coventry are a very, very entertaining side to watch. Really, really good team. They were brilliant. They were brilliant second half of the Stadium Light in the first day of the season. But I was really, really happy with Sunderland's point against them, because I know it's third game of the season and big calls and things, but I think Coventry will end up in the playoffs this season. I really do. I think we'll be watching them in the playoffs at the end of the season. Just think they're that good. I think they're a really, really good, nice football team. Mark Robins, good manager. And that's key. If they hold on to Mark Robins, I wouldn't be surprised if, a club tried to approach him midway through the season if they were in a little bit of trouble. But yeah, the Coventry are a really good side. But Millwall then are, yeah, they are a very, very good side. And George Saville, with the winner, it's a big, big goal for him. Northern Ireland international. Probably hasn't been at his best for the last couple of seasons. So that could, inspire him this season to really kick on. But Millwall will always be tough to beat at the Den. They're aggressive, and I like Gary Wright. And I know people won't, but I do. I just think tactically, he doesn't get much things wrong. And I think Millwall's a good fit for him. And I just think Millwall have, they've always got a threat from a corner or for a set piece. They're a good team. To be fair, they're always going to be very, very difficult to beat.
Yeah, next up, we're going to speak about Norwich City. Struggles continuing, a 2-1 loss away at Hull City. A brilliant start, though, for Hull, of course. 7 points out, possible 9 for them. But as for Norwich, though, they've obviously come down from the Premier League. Maybe that fear they're a bit used to losing at the moment. And 1 point out of a possible 9, I think questions will soon be started to be asked of Dean Smith, unfortunately, as well. Norwich are creating the chances, though they just can't seem to get the ball in the back of the net at the moment. And Hull, the goals they conceded at Hull as well were very, very poor from their standard. And yeah, it's a really good 3 points for Hull, but again, another more points drop for Norwich.
Yeah, I think Norwich will be okay. I think it's one of those things that we'll see, like you say, they're down from the Premier League, and sometimes it takes teams a little while to adjust back in the Championship. But I think Norwich could be one of those teams that start pretty poorly, and then they'll just go on a crazy run and end up in the playoffs or even automatic promotion. That's sort of how I feel with Norwich. They could just go on a mad run at any point and just pick up a load of points and challenge at the top at the end of the season. I think that a lot of those clubs who get relegated from the Premier League sort of start like this. It's a strange one. I think you're right about Dean Smith, though. Sadly, I think questions will be asked. But I was saying today, they've got goal scorers in the 21s team. They've got Abu Kamara is one of those. I'd be very, very surprised if he isn't on the bench in the next game. I think that they have a goal scorer there, and why not go and give him a chance, because no one else is really delivering at this moment of time. So they've got good young. Why not give them a crack? As for Hull, really surprised by Hull. I wasn't sure what to expect from them this season, but I know it's 3 games in the season. It's too early to get carried away, but yeah, Hull have been excellent, really, really good. I think their business in the summer has been quite sharp. Signed a few decent players, so yeah, they've surprised me. And obviously, forgive me the pronunciation, but Esteban, he looks a very, very decent player for them.
Yeah, I say very, very good start, as you mentioned, for Hull. We're not going to have time to go through every game, but one of the main ones I do want to speak about is Rotherham United versus Reading. Obviously, early stages of the season, yes, but a game that I think a lot of people might have looked at and thought that's a really big game for both clubs, really. Both clubs expected to be down there at the end of the season, so any points you can get against your rivals is probably important. But Rotherham, though, they've started the season pretty well. I mean, obviously, a point at home to Swansea on the opening day, of course, didn't play last week against Coventry. But they were absolutely brilliant, especially in the first half in this one, albeit Reading certainly didn't help themselves and gave away some very, very poor goals. But as for Rotherham, though, a brilliant day for them. That's only going to do good for their confidence going forward. But as for Reading, a lot of people's tips to go down this year, and after performances like this, you can see why.
Yeah, I think all you need to do is look at the goals, and I don't want to be too critical, but Joe Lumley had a bit of a nightmare, let's say, in the Reading goal. I think you're looking at all 4 of those goals, and I don't want to be too harsh or too critical, but I think if you look at them, I think you have to say the goalkeeper should do better with them all. I really do. The judgment, he comes out for the first one, completely misses it. Ball drops him behind him and Rotherham score. And then he's got beat at the near post. He's just had a really, really, really poor day. Rotherham have surprised me. To be fair, not so much. 4-0 the weekend, it surprised me, but I think Reading will struggle this year. I think Reading are poor. And also, I'm not a big lover of Paul Ince. So if there's any Reading fans listening to the podcast, I apologise. But Rotherham, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really, really big win for them, just for the confidence. I think Rotherham will struggle this season as well. But when you have a player like Ogbonna, with the form that he's on, and you've always got that flair. You always got that little bit of spark that can get you out of trouble. So it was good to see Rotherham win. Connor Washington scored as well. I've had my doubts about him. Is he Championship standard? I'm not too sure. I personally don't think he is, but he's proven me wrong. He's got a couple. So yeah, Rotherham are looking okay at the minute, and maybe Paul Warren has learned on past mistakes in the Championship. they've seen me adapt quite well from League One. In the Championship, it's 3 games in and it could all go wrong. That is the league. The league it's so unpredictable. But yeah, big win for Rotherham and a big 3 points for them.
Yeah, another team who desperately needed a win was Huddersfield Town, and they got that against Stoke City, a 3-1 win in the end. And of course, Stoke did miss an early penalty in the game, but Huddersfield eventually took the lead and then Stoke equalised, but Huddersfield replied with 2 goals of their own. Big win for Huddersfield. A lot of concerns with the way they've started the season, but not just that, they're obviously losing the playoff final, losing their manager, losing some big players. It was looking like after the first 2 games, Huddersfield, of course, were live on Friday Night Football in the first 2 of the season. It was concerning performances from them, but this win against Stoke seems to have restored a little bit of belief. And let's not forget, Huddersfield did start badly last season as well and then recovered to go on a brilliant run. Might not happen this time round, but as for Huddersfield, a really good result. But Stoke, you feel like pressure is going to start coming on Michael O'Neill eventually.
Yeah, I do. I think Michael O'Neill is probably that Championship manager right now that's under the most pressure. I know that's a big call, but I think he has to deliver this season. They have to finish, in and around the playoffs. They can't afford to do what they have done in the last couple. They can't really go on a bad run because, the pressure will mount. And I don't want to say it will be sacked, but I think this season there will be a time that they'll have to do it. I really do. I would be surprised if Michael O'Neill rode out the season at Stoke. But, big win for Huddersfield, especially big win for, Danny Schofield. That was a really, really big result. And, Huddersfield, I think they have the talent to do it. I think they have got the talent to, I think they'll finish mid-table. I don't think they'll go down. But I think they've got some decent Championship talent there that can cause teams problems. Obviously, you've got Jordan Rhodes. You've got the goal scorer there. So, yeah, it was a big win for Huddersfield. But as for Stoke, yeah, big concerns there, especially for Michael O'Neill. And again, I don't really know where Stoke are going to get goals from this season. I don't really see a prolific goal scorer in that team. If you go around the Championship, even I'm going to go back to Sunderland, you've got Ross Stewart, Ellis Sims. The strikers are scoring and they're going to, eat up chances. And most Championship clubs sort of have those. I mean, you look at Watford, you got João Pedro. At the minute, you've got Sarr. Obviously, Emmanuel Dennis is gone, but they've just signed Keenan Davis, so he's going to eat up chances as well. So, most Championship clubs have a number 9 that will score goals, and I'm just not sure these 2 teams, Huddersfield will with Jordan Rhodes, but I'm not too sure of Stoke. I just don't know who puts the ball in the back of the net for them on a consistent level basis.
Yeah, we're going to move on to some of these games now anyway. We're going to start with Middlesbrough versus Sheffield United. A 2-2 draw in the end. Middlesbrough's come from behind twice to get a point in this one. Of course, Chris Wilder coming up against his former club as well. It was a good game, really. 2 goals by from Chuba Akpom, a really good finish by Berger as well. Sheffield United, a team who started the season quite well, barring their loss at Watford, where I think they were quite poor. But Middlesbrough not really got going yet, it's fair to say. But you can't help but feel things will eventually click under Chris Wilder.
Yeah, I think I actually tipped Middlesbrough in the top 2 at the start for my start of season predictions. I think they've got a very, very good squad, but I think the manager is just different class. And that's being honest. So I think Middlesbrough will be fine. I think it's just it's like we keep saying it. I've said it consistently throughout our time here. It's 3 games into the season. It's going to take time for players to really gel and the system to get used to. But I think Middlesbrough will go on a run at some point, and I think they'll be fine. As for Sheffield United, and again, I think they're going to be up there at the end of the season. Really, really good team. This was the game of the weekend for me. I just think they're 2 very, very good, very, very good teams. I think the concern for Wilder is how Middlesbrough defended. If you look at the first goal for Berger, you have to close him. You cannot let him turn on the edge of the area. He did, and he punished them. But yeah, fair play to Middlesbrough. They had the character to dig in and come back from behind twice, and that's what I'm saying. They've got a goal scorer in Akpom as well, so they have goals in there. I would be more concerned if I was Chris Wilder at the minute about how they're defending. I think Zach Steffen, I like him. He's a promising goalkeeper on loan from Manchester City, but I just don't think he's been good enough yet. I think if you look at the QPR game, I think he's made a few mistakes in that game. And then, I just think they've conceded too many goals, and and that's what needs to be. That's what needs to be looked at rather than going forward, because they'll always have goals in there. I just think just need to be better defensively, which I think they will be as the season goes on. But as for Sheffield United, yeah, I think Sheffield United will be fine. I think they'll finish, top two or just below. I think they'll certainly be in the playoffs. Good side, really, really good side. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, really, really good game this one. I think actually Sheffield United will be happier away from home, point at Middlesbrough. It's going to be a tough place to go for most teams, so they'll be happy with that.
Yeah, and final game to speak about, the final game of the weekend in the Championship, actually, Blackburn Rovers versus West Bromwich Albion, and ended 2-1 to the home side. And what a start to life for Yondell Thomason in the Championship. 3 games played, 3 wins. Blackburn are really looking a good team this season. This could be the year they maybe make that push towards the playoffs. Blackburn, do you think their start to the season is a sign of things to come, or do you think it's a little bit of good form? What's your thoughts on Blackburn? And also West Brom, who haven't really got going yet under Steve Bruce.
The thing with Blackburn is Blackburn always sort of seem to start well, and then they drop off. So I'm not sure, but they've been very, very impressive. I mean, the big thing for them is to keep Ben Barrett and Diaz, as we know. I actually like the role that he's taken up at Blackburn so far. He's drifting out to that wide left area, and then you've got Sam Gallagher down the middle. Both scored, obviously, against West Brom on Sunday. So again, they've got goal scorers in their team as well. But yeah, I mean, and also, they dug in, they showed character when West Brom pulled one back. There was sort of no panic there. It was sort of just see the game out, and that's exactly what they did. As for West Brom, I'm just not sure. They're very confusing. I don't really know how to read West Brom right now. There's moments in the Watford game I thought they were very good. I think, again, they've got goal scorers, Colin Grant. I think Jed Wallace is looking good as well. But I just think under Steve Bruce, I'm just not sure. I think under a more attacking manager, they'd be fine, and they would actually quite entertaining to watch. They've got the players to be successful, but I'm just not sure Steve Bruce is the right man sort of to bring them forward. But as for Blackburn, yeah, look, they've been impressive, but I think with them, it's sort of more just one game at a time, and I don't think you can. I think after 10 games, we can read it better than what we can right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that brings us to the end, Josh. We haven't had time to go through every game on this match day, but the other games were a little bit less scoring. So I'll ask you what I ask everyone at the end of the show, and that's your Championship player and team of the week, please.
The team of the week, I think you got to say Rotherham, to be fair. 4-0 win over Reading, and they were obviously emphatic. Player of the week, I'm going to go Brad Potts. I know we haven't spoken about the Preston game, but if you look at that finish, yeah, look, it's an incredible finish. The ball in by Robbie Brady is excellent. And I just want to touch on Preston. To be fair, I thought that was a really, really impressive result. It's a hard place to go, Luton, so really, really good result for Ryan Lowe. So yeah, my team of the week is Rotherham, and my player of the week, just for the finish alone, is Brad Potts.
Yeah, well, like I say, sorry, Preston fans, for not being able to speak about their impressive starts of the season. No goals conceded still for them as well. But yeah, thank you very much anyway, Josh, for your time. And thank you, everyone, for watching as well. I hope you all enjoyed the show, Josh. And yeah, good luck to Sunderland for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Big game on Wednesday away to Sheffield United. Very, very, very tough game. And then we go to Michael O'Neill's Stoke on Saturday.
I'll be there.
and I know that the Stoke fans here have said that I think Michael O'Neill don't see it the rest of the season. Well, I know they'll want to prove me wrong, but I hope it's another loss on Saturday for them. But we'll see. 2 very, very tough games this weekend. We'll learn more about us in the Championship.
Yeah, I'll be reporting there, so I hope it's a good game between Stoke and Sunderland, to be honest.
Yeah, well, you've got Ellis Sims, so it should be a good game.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks anyway, Josh. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.